checking in with Mike Williams from the LA Chargers, and you're tuning in to Chargers Unleashed.
Welcome to another edition of Chargers Unleashed. Jake Hefner and Dan Wolkenstein here with you from the LAFB Network. If this is your first time tuning in the show, make sure to hit that like, subscribe button on YouTube. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Dan Wolkenstein. We know what day it is, April 4th, 2025, which means we are 20 days away from the 2025 NFL Draft. And that means today it is time for another top 10 ranking. And today we're going in the trenches. Today we are going interior defensive line. Leading up to this show, Dan and I were in full agreement with as talented as this defensive line class is. It was a bitch creating this top 10 list. I thought I had a pretty good idea of what the 1 through 4 was going to be. And then as it got closer, I had to tinker with that. Past 4, holy shit. This got tough.
Yeah, it's like, what's your favorite flavor of ice cream? You're like, I love all ice cream. Like, I'm an equal ice cream consumer.
Yep.
I got to pick, like, no, it hurt to put people off of this top 10 list.
This would be if you were going to Baskin-Robbins 31 flavors and ordering 31 flavors.
But only allowed to talk about 5 of them.
Yeah. Imagine the worker's face if you said that. You said what? I got to put 31 flavors in this cup? Are you kidding me? Yes. That's pretty much what it was like.
And I'll start this off, Jake, by like, legitimately, you could skip the top 10s and start at 11 and put 11 through 15 up against arguably the top 5 of any other class in the last 5-10 years.
Yep.
It gets that good. And, but it also makes this fun. It also makes this exciting because we do not know what our top 10 lists look like, each other's top 10 lists, nor do we know the honorable mentions. So I'm curious how long it takes for one of us to absolutely go ballistic over the stupidity of the other person, but we'll find out. We will find out. Dan, quick housekeeping item just before we jumped on this pod and before we get into the top 10 list. At the time of this recording, if you're listening, watching, whatever it is, just about a half hour ago, the Chargers signed to a 1-year deal, add a little bit more ammunition to the quarterback room. They bring in Trey Lance on a 1-year deal that's up to $6 million. Is that correct? Yep, up to 6.05, I think.
Dan, initial thoughts?
Don't look at the preseason game last year.
Good initial thoughts.
No, but look, I think he has been kind of victim of crappy situations. And he said, "Oh, the Niners cracked." No, I genuinely think that he could use a fresh start with a coaching staff that is different than what he's gone through in the past. And I think he has all the talent in the world. But there's some things up top that sometimes get the best of him. But if you look at just pure athletic traits, there's a reason why he was a top pick. So, again, if you're whoever the backup quarterback is, this Chargers team, if it's for a long period of time, they're screwed.
Yes.
But if he can be coached up right to where he can win a game or two, if need be, like that's what we're looking for.
I actually really like this as just a low risk, possibly just high reward move for Trey Lance, even more so than the team. It gives him, now you've got Justin Herbert, Taylor Heineke for him to learn from in this quarterback room. And I didn't mind it. You add a little bit more depth at that type of a range for a guy who was a previous first round pick. To Dan's point, if he's playing, it's not a good sign necessarily for the Chargers, but in terms of his overall growth and development and added depth for the Chargers in this circumstance, there was questions on whether or not should the Chargers look for a third quarterback toward the tail end of the draft. You may have taken one of those off the table now. So it'll be interesting to watch this moving forward, but I like the move.
Yeah, I don't know how anyone would really hate the move. You know, this is kind of again, churning underbelly roster signing, an insurance policy for the Chargers team. Jake, before we get to the torture that was us getting through the top 10 and honorable mention, I think I need to ask you 2 questions. One, what did you have for dinner last night?
Random question, but okay.
Answer.
The answer was Subway.
Ooh, okay. Jake ate fresh. Let's start fresh by talking about our friends and pay the bills.
Love it. Good transition there. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and the number one source for everything's football. BetOnline is every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. You think you know your stuff? Get in our $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every single week for your chance of up to $200K. When the game is over, head on over to our online casino and get on a game of blackjack or poker or on one of our 150 slot games. Head on over to the website today to get on the action. BetOnline. The game starts here. What was your second question?
Can we talk about our friends over at BetOnline?
Oh, that was the second question. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. Well, I'll add another one. How are you doing today?
I'm excited about this episode, honestly. I've been looking forward to this one all week. I know we had Jordan Reed on earlier this show. I knew we had to get back to our top 10 list following what we did with the tight end group. We still have plenty more to get through between now and April 24th. We have to once again, just like we did with the tight end episode, we have to set the right precedence here in terms of you're virtually going to hear this same sentence from me on repeat for every top 10 list that we have. If we were just going full bore, run of the mill top 10 list as it relates to the interior defensive lineman, Dan and I's list would probably be fairly comparable, similar, basically the same of what you would see from the majority of everyone who ranks their top 10. But we're going to tailor this specifically to what we feel that A, the Chargers need, B, what is on the current roster, trying to fill those type of holes, skill sets on top of that. So this list is going to read differently for those reasons. So just keep that in mind. There will be some people that you will hear that will be higher on this list that you probably didn't expect. It is for a certain reason. There will be some people that you won't hear on this list, which is not an indication of what we feel from them. Because as Dan said when we first opened the show, you can literally go rounds 1 through 4 and even deeper than that to find good interior defensive linemen, especially at a class like this. But this was as tough of a list as it was to get through. It was tough as hell to keep some names off this list, so we will have some honorable mentions that we'll open up with before we get into the top 10. But this is how our respective top 10 lists are going to be constructed as it relates to what the Chargers currently have on the roster and what it is that they need.
Again, most importantly, this is not the top 10 defensive linemen. This is the top 10 defensive line star, asterisk, bold, underline, italics for the Chargers. And I don't know about you, Jake, but as I was going through this, you look at what this Chargers team needs, what its current roster looks like, and what this current regime looks for. While there could be some things that we're leaning towards, i.e. this Chargers defensive line could definitely use some pass rushing juice, there are still some guys on here where it's, even though they could use some of that stuff, there are some dudes on this list that I just can't not have on the top 10 because of just how good they are. And no one's going to say no to this player who's going to make the defensive line better, regardless of if they can have a excellent or subpar pass rush versus elite or subpar run stopping. So I think we might start this thing off with Flames right off the jump. And I'm not sure I'm ready for it, but Jake, let's do the honorable mentions first. So we'll go honorable mentions, then we'll go 10 through 6, then 5 through 1.
If this was a 2-hour show, we can conceivably do a top 10 of just honorable mentions. That's how ridiculously deep this class is. I must have moved this person in my top 10, out of my top 10 at least 3 times. And where I came to putting him on the honorable mentions list, honestly, is going to gut me talking about it right now. As much as I love this individual, I had Aeneas Peebles on my honorable mentions list. I absolutely love Aeneas Peebles.
Oh, shut.
And I hope as we get toward the middle of whether it's the tail end of day 3 or the beginning of day 4, if he ends up being there and the Chargers have not addressed the interior defensive line yet, I would love to see Aeneas Peebles on this team. One of the size be damned prospects, especially out of this interior defensive line, but overall as it relates to the draft, Again, undersized for the position at 6'1", but he does not play like it. Dan, he had one of the top interior defensive line rankings as it relates to pass rush win rate out of any of the interior defensive linemen. Capable of lining up in multiple spots. He's extremely versatile, explosive off the first step. He's got good lateral agility when it comes to finding the ball carrier, active hands. Love his effort, plays to the whistle every single down. I love what I see from Aeneas Peebles, and like I said, it sucked keeping him off my top 10.
Yep, I have him just outside of my top 10. He comes in at number 12 for me. And you mentioned it. Some of the numbers he has were insanity. You mentioned the undersized part, though. That's important, I think, especially with his Jim Harbaugh and Jesse Minter style defensive line. But there were some stats that you can't ignore, right? Like 6th in the country with pressures, 37, a 17.8 pass rush win rate, which is wild. And get this, here's a stat for him to put on his resume. Anyone who talks to him, 91.2 pressure grade from 2 press sets, tied with Derrick Harmon, who we might hear a little thing or two about later, with the highest in all of FBS. Again, size be damned, to your point, but this tells you how good this group is if he is number 12 for me.
Just remember one thing when it comes to the size. Poona Ford was 5'11". So I don't think that they're shy as it relates to overall size of someone when it comes to those. You add in those factors trait. Well, I get that, but it doesn't take away what he did in his 1 year with the Chargers. They brought him in. It was a great year for him. Sucked seeing him walk. But I don't think that they're going to let his height be a detriment to the interior defensive lineman that they're.
And I don't know if I would either. I'm just saying when you're trying to kind of split hairs here and figure out which guys you're wanting to go after, like some of these are going to have negatives, and which ones are you going to be accepting? And again, as we get through this top 10 list, you'll see why this is so difficult, because I cannot believe we're not going to be talking more about him. Jake, another one on my list. Again, we don't know. I don't know your list. Did JJ Pegues make your list?
He was outside of it as well.
Okay. We're 2 for 2 on honorable mentions. Okay, so they have it on the board. Do you have Vernon Broughton?
On my top 10 or in my honorable mentions?
In your top 10.
I did not have Vernon Broughton in my top 10.
Did you have the other Texas kid? Alfred Collins?
No.
Okay. Wow. All right. Well, let's go back to.
But please talk about them. Please.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Because Alfred Collins was another tough decision for me.
Yeah. JJ Pegues, I really like. And for, I guess, context, I probably have him as like an early day 3, in my opinion. But dude, like quick twitch, super athletic. I like the size, 6'2", 325. Like not huge, but definitely fits the part. If you want a fun watch, though, like this kid is using the backfield on offense, just like plowing or dragging defenders. Disruptor, wrecked interior offensive lineman constantly. He actually started off, fun fact, as a tight end in Ole Miss. I love his hands, really good swipe moves. He resets the line of scrimmage pretty well. He had this, it's kind of funny. There's some guys who plow through versus go around, and he kind of just slices through blocks so well. I could totally see Harbaugh loving this type. You know, he's a multifaceted interior defensive line guy, high motor, good flexibility. And while his pass rush grade isn't elite, his pass rush grade from true pass sets are, and his overall defense is pretty good. So again, like we're talking up about JJ Pegues, I like him. Doesn't make my top 10. And then I would say real quick, Vernon Broughton, super athletic, lines up in the middle or the edge. He definitely has quick feet, dude. His feet move faster than probably anyone else on the line he's attached to. Always getting to the running back pretty quick. His game against ASU, which I would know, was insane. Constantly blowing up passes. Played in all 16 games, 4.5 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, 2 pass breakups, and 2 forced fumbles. I like his agility, but honestly, his upper body and lack of size, in my opinion, leaves some to be desired. But I don't know, man. I mean, 13% pass rush win rate, 86.3 pass rush grade. Like, I'll take it. Again, we're talking outside of our top 10, and this is an early day 3. This is like a round 4 guy for me. So that's how much we're splitting hairs here. But that's the crazy part is we can see so many guys get drafted by this Chargers team that don't make my top 10 that I'd be pumped for. Like Joshua Farmer, sign me up. Jamar Caldwell, absolutely. Like there's so many dudes here where I'm like, yeah, I like this guy. Tonka Hemingway, sign me up, brother. I freaking love Tonka Hemingway. Not on my top 10. So that's what sucks. Is it feels like I have 27 kids. I only get to talk about 10 of them.
Yep.
Anybody else on your honorable mentions before we get to 10 through 6?
No, let's jump into the 10 through 6. Before we start that, I want to preface this because
here we go.
Dan and I's list is going to be different based on different traits that we're looking at. And by all means, everybody please put their top 10 list in the comments for this. To give you an idea as far as what my top 10 list is going to look like, the pass rush aspect is what played a huge variable to me. And this is mainly based off of what the Chargers currently have on their roster right now. So when you look at Tito, Tyre Tart, Deshaun Hand, who am I forgetting, Dan?
They know.
Yes. In terms of what they have along the interior defensive line right now, it's more geared towards guys who are solid in terms of stopping the run. But they need a little bit more pass rush juice. And that's where the intangibles of these individuals on specifically my top 10 are going to come into play. So that's why rankings may be different, names may be different, and some names that you may not hear on my list will end up being in there. Again, if this was just straight interior defensive lineman.
Just rip the Band-Aid, Jake. Just go.
This would be like a 2-hour show. So let's go. Dan. I'll list them off to you first. And then we can go in detail on everything. So, number 10, I had Joshua Farmer out of Florida State.
Oh, shit. Sorry.
Wow, what a start. I don't know why that reaction came into play, but after Joshua Farmer, CJ West from Indiana. I had Omarr Norman-Lott from Tennessee, Tyleik Williams, and TJ Sanders. That's my 6 through 10. Dare I ask why you had that type of reaction to Joshua Farmer?
Because that was when we were talking about Joshua Farmer in my honorable mentions, and he was not in my top 10.
Okay.
Whoa. Wow. Okay, go ahead. I'm way lower on him than you, so I'm excited to hear how you have him ranked. Let me get to my 10 through 6, please, and then we'll go to it. Number 10 for me, Jordan Phillips out of Maryland.
Nice.
Number 9 for me, CJ West, like you, Indiana. Number 8, Tyleik Williams, Ohio State. Number 7, Omarr Norman-Lott out of Tennessee. And number 6, TJ Sanders out of South Carolina.
Very nice.
So let's start with George Farmer, excuse me. Please, the floor is yours.
Okay. So
I didn't even have him. I'm sorry. I didn't even have him on the honorable mentions list because I was not expecting this name to be said. I apologize.
That's all right. This is what makes it fun. This is what makes it different. And that's why we love talking NFL draft when it comes to these. One of the few bright spots from Florida State's defense for the 2024 season was Joshua Farmer. 6'3", 331. And he's got the ideal size that you want for the position. And he posted 26 pressures, 6 sacks, and 18 run stops during his college career. Again, has the scheme versatility to play multiple spots along the defensive line. And man, does he choose violence when he plays. He is very strong. There was a reason why he was on Bruce Feldman's freak list before the season started. And when he's going up against offensive linemen with the motor that he has, he can create chaos in the backfield, whether he's getting after a quarterback or trying to stop the run. Now, his run defense is not the best, and he can get driven off the ball at times. And he doesn't have as much burst off his first step as what some other IDL prospects that are going to be higher than him on this list are. But he just has so much potential when it comes to the traits that he has, that if you put him with the right type of coaching staff, you can develop something very, very strong. So there's a lot of potential behind Joshua Farmer. But in terms of the raw physical traits and the production when it comes to rushing the passer, I love what I've seen from him.
Yeah, I do. There are things I like about Joshua Farmer. And I do think you'd be banking on the traits, like you mentioned. And you kind of be hoping for the upside, probably. But to your point, like, he definitely can be better. I'll be kind. In run blocking. I think it's like a 61 grade in PFF last year. Like, it's not good at all. I think he could also use like some more pass rush moves. But I love the size, like 6'3", 320. Like, absolutely, sign me up. He was honorable mention All ACC this past year. He's got juice and the size for pass rushing, and also 35-inch arms. By the way, like, good lord, I like him. Honorable mention for sure, but to me, I don't think he cracks. He doesn't crack my top 10 because I think there's guys who can pass rush better than him. B, guys who can pass rush and run block far better than him. Let's see. So then after that, you have number 10. Who is your 10? Sorry,
Joshua Farmer. Joshua Farmer was my 10.
And who was 9?
CJ West.
Okay, I have 9. CJ West too. So my number 10 is Jordan Phillips. Do you have him in your top 10?
That was another one that was tough for me to keep off because I love Jordan Phillips. Please, and I'll have some things to say about Jordan Phillips as well.
Wow, I'm so surprised by that. This, again, to your point, this is why I love doing this, because everyone's going to have a different opinion in this, and I kind of love that because there's so many dudes here, and there really isn't a right or wrong thing, but I like Jordan Phillips. Late day 2 pick, for context, in my opinion. Quick feet, super savvy. I think he has an array of moves: swipes, chops, spin, bull rush, high motor. He's a grown man. Like, this dude brings some grown man strength. His production isn't there, which is kind of why I have him lower on mine, like, at all. But if you just watch his play, like, the flashes are there. And he, to me, I think I texted you when I was going through his initial look, was like he's like a walking hockey assist to me. Like, he never.
That's a nice analogy.
He never gets the credit, but if you go watch it, you're like, oh, that's because Jordan. Oh, there's another one because Jordan Phillips. Yeah, oh, that's why. He just has that dirty
wide receiver caught the ball. Oh, it's probably because Jordan Phillips.
yes. He's definitely more of a pass rushing interior defensive line than run stopping. But 11% pass rush win rate, 72.7 pass rush grade. Really, really good athlete. Gets upfield in a hurry. Can win with both speed and power. Consistently putting interior offensive line on the turf, which I love to see. Excellent power moves and punches. Shed blocks well. He claws up his lane, which will often wash out offensive linemen. And the cool part with watching him is it almost looks like he knows what the offensive line is doing at times and knows where the offensive line is trying to get him and will not let it happen. And he'll, like, get to spots before they can get there. I really like Jordan Phillips. But if you're just going off of what folks are looking at, like, if you're just stat watching, you're going to be with a lot left to be desired. And if this coaching staff does what they probably would do when they look at kind of proven production as like a barometer of success, like, they might not look that way. But if we're just talking pure traits and what this guy brings as a makeup to a team, he has a lot, man. I really, really like Jordan Phillips.
Yeah, Jordan Phillips is another one, size be damned, 6'1", 312. He's another guy off of Bruce Feldman's freak list prior to the beginning of the season. And he's just a powerhouse with crazy, crazy strength. Sure. Dan, you were mentioning clogging up holes or making it difficult for offensive linemen. Go back to the East-West Shrine practices that week and look at what he was doing to opposing offensive linemen, because he was moving them around. There's tons of upside with Jordan Phillips. And I think that he's great when it comes to what he can do against the run. But it's the other aspects of it that just kept him out of my top 10 for me in terms of what I think that the Chargers need, given how their roster is currently constructed. But I'm with you. I love Jordan Phillips as it relates to his traits overall, what he can add to a defensive line room. I think he's going to be a great addition for whoever picks him up.
And it was kind of similar to, like, and not nearly as extreme, but, if you're just stat watching and you look at Justin Herbert's stats last year, like, you'd be like, all right, he was kind of like, average, whatever. Like, there are some statistics that he was balling at, right? But, like, it wasn't the 5,000-yard, 38 touchdown season. And so some people would be like, oh, like, Justin Herbert had kind of like, an average season, maybe above average, whatever. Like Jordan Phillips, same thing. Like you look at the production, look at just the stats, you're going to be underwhelmed. And I get it. I totally get it. But it's one of those like peel the onion kind of thing. And I think you're going to see a lot with Jordan Phillips. CJ West, Jake, was your number 9. Is that right?
That is correct.
I'll let you do the honors because I love CJ West, and I also have him at number 9.
Yeah, he was another one that actually was in flex a lot through the bottom of this top 10 in terms of where I felt was a respectable spot to put him. Even still, I think that it may be a little too low for what I think he's going to be at the next level. I don't know how many times I have to say this. Another size be damn prospect is CJ West. Don't look at it when it comes to overall height, because no matter what it is that you see, he's just a disruptor with a non-stop motor. He's been a rising player throughout the evaluation process. He had a great all-star week. I thought he had a tremendous combine. Smaller in size, yes. Smaller in length, yes. But he is explosive with active hands when he comes off the line. His game against Michigan, you go back and you watch that, was a really great watch because I think it just encompasses everything that he does well, whether it's bull rush power, whether it's shedding blocks, getting after the quarterback, or stopping the run. He's powerful enough to penetrate double teams even at his size. His lateral movement and his awareness is impressive when he's in pursuit of the football. I love CJ West. I think if you want someone who's going to come in and add, pass rush juice to the front of your line, this is your guy.
Oh man. 6'2"? Is that what you have? What do you have listed as? I think he's 6'2", right?
I thought now you're making me go back and looking at my numbers now. I had him at 6'1", 316. Was I wrong enough?
6'1", 6'2". Okay, yeah. I think depending on what you're looking at. I love CJ West. Give me some CJ West.
Yes.
I know, you can say, I guess, size be damned, but like that dude is physically imposing when you watch him
Compact,
play football.
Wide. Not necessarily the height that you normally see off of prototypical IDL guys.
Yes.
The dude is just like kind of a amoeba in the best type of a way.
Yeah, he's a pure nose tackle.
Yes.
And transfer from Kent State. Opposite what we just talked about with our previous guy. Consistent 3-year production, 80+ overall grade for 3 straight years. You'll take that. His play style and game impact is all over his film. Elite run defender. Again, so this is one of those, I know the Chargers are kind of looking towards probably more pass rushing, but you can't not have CJ West on here when you go see him as a run defender. 88.1 run defense grade, 11.4% run stop rate. That is incredible. Super impact player, man. Like he just impacts the field and you feel him on the line of scrimmage. There's a play versus Maryland, I believe, where he overpowers, beats a double team, and then is getting held while sacking the quarterback. And I'm like, who does this? He's great. I mean, he's strong where he'll be able to push back lineman in the backfield with one arm while keeping his other eye in pursuit on the quarterback. He's kind of like this multitasker. Eludes blocks really well. Small arms and hands. I know people are going to be upset about that, but like, who cares if you're effective, right? 31.5-inch arms, 9 3/4-inch hands. But dude, production and consistency, right? 72.9% pass rush grade, 88.1%, 81.1 grade for run defense. So 10.1% pass rush win rate, 11.4 run stop. He's kind of really good at both things. So if you're talking like production and proven commodity, this is the guy that you'd be like, all right, that makes sense. I would absolutely see them going after a guy like this. Consistent impact performance. While he might not have the sack numbers, he has the impact year over year over year. 3 straight years above 80 overall grade for CJ West. And again, that's just number 9. God, this is insane. Damn. Okay, my number 8, Jake.
Yes, let's hear it.
Tyleik Williams. Where do you have him?
I had Tyleik a little bit higher than you. I actually had him at 7.
Ooh, okay. So we're close. 8 and 7. All right. So I think, do we have Omarr Norman-Lott flip-flop then? Because I have Omarr Norman-Lott at 7.
Correct. So I've got Omarr Norman-Lott at 8.
Okay. So why don't we do Tyleik Williams together, and then we'll do Omarr Norman-Lott.
Go for it.
Tyleik Williams. This kid is a grown man. You cannot deny him. Incredible run defender. I think he anchors down among the best in this class. sheds blocks well. He's listed at, I think, 6'3", 325 or so. Definitely the nose tackle archetype. It's funny. Like, I think of, I have a electric car, and I just keep thinking of like SoCal Edison needing to call them and be like, hey, I got some dude that can give you some power. Like, this guy can help you out. He help you out, loan it back for a year. He's got power for days, honestly. Versatile body size. He can play multiple defensive fronts at nose tackle or 3-tech with just inside the guard. 88.6 run defense grade. Like, we're talking elite. Over 1,200 snaps over the past 2 years, so proven production. Again, this is one of those, like, not a pass rusher per se, but, like, if you need a nose stopper, a run stopper, nose stopper. If you need a run stopper, like, he's your guy, man. I love Tyleik Williams and what he brings as, like, just a physical specimen to anchor down your defensive line and allow folks to have to run around him, because you're not going to run through him. You're going to have to run around Tyleik Williams.
Yeah, I thought Tyleik Williams had a very nice combine when he was out there doing the drills, just basically showing you what he's great at in terms of his overall body movement. When he ran at his 40, though, Dan, holy shit, at his pro day, that was scary when he went down during his 40. But thankfully, all indications are that he escaped that without serious injury, but that looked bad.
I actually forgot about that.
And everybody was holding their breath when that happened, because it just looked like the worst possible situation for him. But it sounds like there was not serious injury. So that's great news for him. But just getting back to what he does well, he's extremely versatile as an interior defensive lineman, capable of playing either the 3-technique or the nose position. And he's got an athletic profile for him. Upside, as Dan was saying, can anchor the line against the run, but also has enough burst and motor to get after the quarterback, to penetrate the line and get after the quarterback. Strong hands to move around, offensive lineman capable of taking on double teams. The main issue with him, Dan, that I see is just consistency, and specifically when it comes to winning one-on-one pass rush snaps. So you'd like to see a little bit more in terms of like what he uses. You'd like to see a little bit more pass rush moves to his repertoire rather than just relying on his great athletic ability and his power.
That's fair.
So those are just the only two things that I had for him. But, man, you take a guy like that and you put him into a rotation with what the Chargers currently have on this interior defensive line, he can thrive.
Yeah, and I guess, like, I could say I'm being a little hypocritical, because, like, the Josh Farmer argument that I had, kind of why I didn't have him in my top 10, you can give the exact same thing for Tyleik Williams with how poor he is at pass rush, comparatively speaking, to run defense. Like, his run defense is his calling card by far, but just a 59.8% rush grade from pass rush perspective. So I think his run stopping ability is better than Josh Farmer's pass rush ability. That's why I have him a little higher, in my opinion. And I think his physical attributes are more towards what Jim Harbaugh and company would look for. Like, I think he has the size, he has the traits, he has kind of that pedigree that I'm not sure Harbaugh and company would, like, be able to look over. Again, like, I kind of have him as like a probably early day 3 guy for me. That doesn't mean he's not a good fit, though, right? Like, there are some guys who might be a later grade who might be a better fit. You're just like, just wait. You can find your guy. All right, Jake. We flip-flop these. Omarr Norman-Lott.
Yes.
Return.
Man, has Tennessee been rich at the defensive line for the past 2 years, which limited Omarr Norman-Lott to 460 snaps over the last 2 years. But like the old saying goes, you make chicken salad out of chicken shit. That's exactly what Omarr Norman-Lott did, because in only 460 snaps over 2 seasons, he still had 10 sacks and 20 pressures over that span. And even with those numbers, there were still a lot of plays when you go back and you watch that he left on the field that he could have finished. So those numbers that we're talking about could have been even better in such a limited snap count, which is just absolutely insane. But when the Vols needed someone to get after the quarterback, they were calling number 55. He's got power and he's got leverage to move off blockers, uses his length in his hands well, capable of beating double teams. The limited snaps, obviously, is definitely going to be something that I'm sure everybody's going to highlight when it comes to him. And he's still coming into his own as a player. But there's enough traits there that you can say, okay, we can perfect those coming into a interior defensive line rotation where we're not expecting him to be the starter for this group. And you say, okay, it's 3rd and 9, go get the quarterback, go do what you're best at.
Yep.
That's Omarr Norman-Lott. Absolutely.
Yeah, you definitely can coach him up. Holy burst, dude. Like, talk about athletic. His get off is crazy. Amongst the best in this class, I would argue. 6'2", 291. Like, again, a little undersized. Kind of like that, I don't want to say tweener. I hate use hybrid. Like, he's a term hybrid. Massive hands, though. He's almost always the first lineman to move on either side, like either offensive line or defensive line. He's always the first one. Huge motor, great pursuit. You'll see him like ragdolling offensive linemen a ton. Quick to conflict. He doesn't wait. He's not passive at all. Like, he is aggressive. His hands like remind me of like Mr. Miyagi. Like, they just never stop chopping. They're just violent, right? Like wax on, wax off, and just
don't stop chopping.
Yes.
Just keep chopping.
Yep. I think he's great when he's lined up right on the center and just absolutely puts him in conflict immediately. 5 sacks, 9 hits, 13 hurries this past season. 88.3 pressure grade from true pass sets. That's like elite level pass rush grade. He wins more on like pure athleticism and strength than he does like technique. So to your point, like, I think coaching and all that can kind of help him at the next level. But holy shit, dude, like pass rush win rate of 18.9%. Like, you can't argue against that. 81.6 pass rush grade, 88.3, like I said, from true pass sets. 18.9% pass rush win rate from the interior is pretty damn good, amongst the best in this entire class. I have him at 7, and I would love to see Omarr Norman-Lott. Like, that is the type of stuff that this Chargers team doesn't really have crazy birth. Like, a lot of their stuff is like grown man strength, right? Like, you think about Thule. He has like high motor. He's not necessarily like quick around the edge, but he's just kind of a high motor guy that can kind of make his way. Like a Khalil Mack, same way, like, right? Like bull rush. Like, the dude is just all anchor. They don't have like the quick dudes, especially on the interior. Omarr Norman-Lott would bring that in spades. Again, a little undersized, but if that's what they're looking for, like pass rush juice from the interior, dude, like, yeah, he fits that. I'd probably say mid to late day 2-ish.
Sounds about right.
At least for me. Again, like, we're talking team priority wise.
No, I would agree with that. That's a fair range for him, I think.
Who do you have at 6? I forget.
I've got South Carolina's TJ Sanders at 6. Who did you
have
at 6?
Bingo! That's 2 for 2.
Holy shit.
2 of our top 10 are exactly aligned. 2 of them are flip-flops. So 4 out of 5.
Dan, I led off with Omarr Norman-Lott. Go ahead and lead off for TJ Sanders.
Man, TJ Sanders is fun.
Yeah.
TJ Sanders is fun. And I hope that folks can start to like use this if they haven't already done so, and like just go watch some of these guys, because like normally the interior defensive lineman for me, like, I'm not saying I'm fantastic at other positions, but I'm definitely better at grading certain positions over others. And sometimes it's tough for me to do interior defensive linemen specifically, because there's a lot of like nuance and technique and things you have to kind of consider and context around a lot of this. Whereas like looking at receivers or edge or running back, or like the skill positions, corners, safeties, I feel like I historically have done better there. But usually like interior defensive lineman isn't the sexy film study. It is this year. Like it is this year. And so TJ Sanders of South Carolina, midday 2, in my opinion, 6'4", 300 pounds. Okay, so it's definitely tall. Can maybe bulk up 5-10 pounds or so. 10.25-inch hands, 33 1/8 arms. Pretty good. Former basketball player and tight end. Yes, please. Absolute monster. Awesome blend of production, athleticism, traits, and upside. 10 sacks, 15 hits, 35 hurries, 16 TFLs over the past 2 seasons. Like, that's consistency. 90.3 pressure grade from true pass rush stats. That's 6th best in the entire country. You see guards and centers just like tapping out on the mat constantly. He's incredible at shedding blocks, great hands, great blend, in my opinion, of speed and power. His motor is through the roof. He's always on the attack, shooting gaps. Excellent use of leverage. Gets his hands up in passing lanes as well, which I think is a big one, a bonus when he can't get to the quarterback. He's got bull rushes, swim moves. You see him like right there at the short yardage situations, stuffing all over his face, right? Flexible alignment, can line up over center, all the way out to the tackle. Constantly in the backfield. He's kind of like the wrecker of chains, but the wrecker of lines. He beats double teams in multiple ways, in my opinion. Like, he's got quick feet, speed, and power. I think he does a great job of showing one look to the offensive line to think he's going one way and then immediately shifting laterally right when the ball snapped to change gaps and throw off the offensive lineman. He beats double teams so quickly doing that and so often. And last thing I'll say about him, honestly, is just the consistency at doing both things well. Run defense grade, 77.0, 81.9% pass rush grade, 90.3, like I said, pass rush grade from a true pass set, 12.6 pass rush win rate, and an 8.8% run stop rate. Like, that is good on good on good on good. There aren't many things you can't like about TJ Sanders. It's crazy to me that he is only number 6. That speaks to the depth of this class. TJ Sanders in other years would be top 3. Easy. Not this year. That's unfortunate for him.
You talk about a guy who wreaked havoc at the Senior Bowl. Holy shit. You talk about explosive, versatile, disruptor. That is TJ Sanders. He can line up at the 3-tech or the 5-tech position. Dan, you were mentioning that consistency as it relates to his production. Just look at the production over the last 2 years, save for 2024. Go to 2023 as well, what he did there. But in 2024, as you mentioned, 27 pressures, 5 sacks, 2 passes defended, possesses that speed to power factor that you really like to see from someone at his position. Great first step off the snap, lateral agility to pair with his handwork, and he's got that diverse bag of pass rush moves.
Yeah.
And he's also stout against the run, Dan. He's got 58 career run stops. That's wild. I mean, you talk about someone who's looked good all over the board. He's got a solid track record behind him. Now, where he struggled a little bit is when he's going up against double teams, and you like to see better production in that spot. And he could use some hand refinement here and there rather than just strictly relying on his athleticism to get past blockers. But overall, the traits, the tools, his production, everything on top of that, you love what you see from TJ Sanders.
Yeah, and you're right. Like, we talk about the guys who can run around versus run through. Like, this is definitely one of those where he uses his athleticism, to your point, and just gets around dudes so quickly. Like, he jump cuts amongst the best, and that kind of comes from, I think, his basketball background. But he isn't the one who is, like, overpowering someone with brute force. Like, that's not him all the time. He's more so just athletically freakish, right? But, dude, like, that speed and that quickness and that burst, like, that's what this Chargers team lacks. So 100%, like, this fits the bill. Best fits for the Chargers, right? Top 10 best fits for the Chargers. We are in alignment at number 6.
And now that I know that we're in alignment at 6, I'm going to bet in no discernible order that I know who your top 4 are.
Top 4?
I have a pretty good feeling. So that leaves who's at number 5. And if I have a good idea of who your top 4 are, again, in no discernible order, I think I know who your number 5 is going to be then.
Okay. Well, then I will let you do the honors. I'll let you do the honors and talk about number 5, and then I'll tell you if you're correct.
Dan Toledo's got themselves another stud in Darius Alexander.
Sure do.
Yes, sir. Where did you have Darius Alexander?
At number 5.
Pow. There it was. My bet was correct. So we're looking good here. We're actually better than what I thought we were going to be up to this point. So Darius Alexander has been rising up draft boards ever since the Senior Bowl, and for good reason. Very unique athlete for his position. Guys that are 6'4", 305 are not supposed to move like this. He can line up various positions along the defensive line, explosive first snap, and speed to get into the backfield. Violent hands, has an array of pass rushing moves that you'd like to see from someone at his role. Capable of taking on double teams and wins. He's put up solid numbers over the past 2 years, Dan. And he finished 2024 with 25 pressures, 4 sacks, and 27 run stops. Now, he's a 6-year senior, so he's on the older side a little bit. But he's more than capable of making an immediate impact as a 2-gap penetrator coming into this defensive line rotation. Hypothetically, if we're talking about a situation where he ends up with the Chargers, whoa, yeah. You talk about someone who can add juice to the defensive line, you've got it.
Oh, man. Darius, the Thriller Alexander from Toledo. Oh, my goodness, Jake. We're getting to scary hours time. This man just licks his chops when he is one-on-one. When he is one-on-one, he is like, if we're even, I'm leaving, and I'm going right to the quarterback. 6'4", 305, 34-inch arms, 10-inch hands. You mentioned the production machine, 55 quarterback hurries in 2 years, 13 tackles for losses, 11 sacks, 7 batted balls, incredible hands that are violent and effective. He sheds blockers like ragdolls. It should not look that easy as he makes it look. Jake, I call him Thriller. I swear he's got guards doing moonwalks. It's so funny watching guards try to go up against him. It is kind of wild. Consistently reestablishing line of scrimmage. Super athletic. Jake, did you see his pick six?
I did.
Dude, for those who have not seen it, this pick six shows you all the athleticism you need to know. In the Pitt bowl game, this kid drops into coverage. Again, we're talking interior defensive lineman. Drops into coverage, picks off the quarterback, that's throwing to the tight end. Immediately, the defensive line turns it upfield, rounds the corner, hurdles the tackler, and then runs it back for 6 points. Like, this guy is insane. Excellent diversity. I think he has a ton of different pass rush techniques, bull rushes, swim moves, spins, chops, jump cuts, stunts, you name it. Like, he pushing double teams in the quarterback laps. And again, we're talking about like great at multiple things. 90.3 run defense grade, 78 pass rush grade, 12.9% pass rush win rate, but still having a 7.9 run stop rate. All of these are in the elite category. True pass set, probably excellent to elite. And again, we're talking just true pass sets and the pass rush grades there, 79.5. Like, this guy, he is such a fun watch. And like I think you mentioned it, he makes it look way easier than it should. Like, it should not look like it does. But to Darius Alexander, like, it's thriller season, man. Absolute thriller.
Yeah. I say you could give me just anything that you wanted to talk about for Darius Alexander. I'll give you 30-minute spiel on why he should end up in a Chargers uniform. Yeah, definitely. Dan, I was saying this before we talked about Darius Alexander, that I have a good idea of who your top 4 was in no particular order.
Mm-hmm.
So now I've got it down to 4 names.
Mm-hmm. It would be hilarious if one of the guys is like not even on the top 10.
Oh, that'd be a wild card, but I highly doubt it given who is remaining here.
Yep.
So who cracked the top 4 at number 4 for Dan Wolkenstein?
I'm calling him Iceberg. The kid from Michigan, the other kid from Michigan, Kenneth Grant. Where's he at for you? Is he at 4?
He's at 4.
Damn, dude, this might be the most aligned.
It may get interesting in the next 2 picks. We'll see.
Okay. Kenneth Grant, dude. Like, there's so much to love about him, and it's so easy to link his best fits and ties and all that kind of stuff with the Chargers, like all the easy narratives about him being from Michigan and like all of that, like very easy to discern and to lift his best fit stuff for the Chargers. But he's like the iceberg and the offensive linemen are kind of like the Titanic, right? Like he kind of just sinks anyone who goes near him. The speed in which he resets the line of scrimmage and pushes back linemen into the back of the backfield, again, into the back of the backfield, not just to the quarterback, but like behind the quarterback. He's like a faster, juiced up Jamal Williams. 6'4", 331. Fun fact, also played guard in high school. Shows up on tape, in my opinion, as he sets linemen up. Super high IQ. 5 batted down balls, third most in the nation this past season. Stout in the run and a weapon in the pass. I think he does really good with block destruction, which I know was a pillar from Jesse Minter back when he was a defensive coordinator for them. Multitasker for sure. Athletic freak. Rare blend of both size and mass and quickness. And he kind of just like changes the math in the trenches. Like the guy like this should not be as athletic as he is and be as effective as he is at moving people both through or around. There's the obvious Michigan ties. Again, we talked about that for a lot. The biggest issue for him, and is a kind of a surprising one given who he goes to school for, but a lot of people are talking about how he just kind of lacks the consistency where like it seems like sometimes he takes the plays off, sometimes he keeps plays on, can run hot, then run cold. But man, 87.5 run defense grade. Are you kidding me? 77.3 true pass rush grade. Are you kidding me? Almost 10% pass rush win rate. Like the kid is just pretty damn good to elite at everything. And again, in any other class, this guy probably would be the top. Kind of reminds you a little bit of like Derrick Brown back in the day on the Panthers.
Yep.
That's where he kind of looks like to me. But, I mean, people are talking about him being a Chargers possibility at 22. I get it.
Hey, we just had Jordan Reed shoot a shot.
Yep.
Who would it possibly be at 22?
Yep. Personally, there are 3 guys that I'd rather have, but if Kenneth Grant is the consolation prize, oh, bummer. Oh, no. I'm happy.
Yeah. Tailor-made for Jesse Minter's defense. That is Kenneth Grant. That's due to his versatility in setting up setting up in multiple alignments. Disruptor in the backfield, strong against the run, violent hands, and for a guy who is 331 pounds, the dude just has a motor. A motor. He's got all the physical tools that you want out of a player at that position. He's got heavy hands, capable of taking on double teams when he needs to. He was a key player in Michigan's win over Ohio State this season, which was obviously a huge upset. And that game that was trench warfare as it relates to that game. So there was plenty of Kenneth Grant to go around when you watch that tape. But consistency and stamina, I know for someone coming in at his size, that those are going to be questions for people at the next level. But his overall production that he's put up over the last 2 seasons and the physical attributes that he possesses, that those are going to be an asset for any defensive line that he lands on. And as it relates to the Chargers, as we have said with previous Michigan players and possible future Michigan players, the fit just makes all the sense in the world for Kenneth Grant. The selection would make sense for 22. He's someone that we have talked about on this show a lot in talking about possibilities for the Chargers there. And every bit of it would make sense if the Chargers are going to target an interior defensive lineman there at 22. It starts with Kenneth Grant.
Yeah, and now we're getting to like, I talked about scary hours on the last guy. Like we're talking about all of these guys would be incredible. And they bring kind of different elements and they can get to the quarterback or to the backfield in different ways. Some of them similar and some of them can do it in all the same ways, especially when you get to number 1. But it really just depends on what archetype you're looking for, because all of these guys are effective at what they do. Okay. Who's your number 3?
Number 3, Dan. You ready?
I think so.
Tension building a little bit as it relates to what number 3 could possibly be. Are you sure you're ready?
Yep.
Walter Nolen.
Yes. Okay. Dude, This might be the most aligned we've ever been on a
which I was not expecting, honestly. I
no,
really
me
wasn't.
Damn.
So
okay.
I'm enjoying this.
I'm actually shocked. I was thinking I was going to be coming with much bigger flamethrowers than this. All right.
Okay. So for Mr. Walter Nolen out of Ole Miss, one of the top defensive tackles in getting after the quarterback, there is no question about that is Walter Nolen's game. Possesses the size, speed attributes that are normally not found among guys that are coming in at 6'3", 305. Against Georgia, you go back and you watch that game, he got the better of Jared Wilson more than once. And he has shown consistent ability to get off the snap quickly, using his lateral quickness to get around offensive linemen, and has that type of positional versatility to line up in multiple spots along the line. Now, there are aspects of his game that need to be polished. He needs to perfect some of those areas that are not just built on athletic abilities, much like other guys that we have spoken about on this list.
Yep.
But when you talk about someone who has a high floor for this interior defensive line class, that's definitely Walter Nolen. And I know for a long time that people have looked at him as the number 2 guy, maybe, on this list in this interior defensive line class. There are some things that have changed for me personally, and obviously for Dan, as it relates to these overall rankings. But again, it's not any indication of not thinking that Walter Nolen cannot be a success at the NFL level. But the person who's going to come in this list right above him, there's understandable reason for that. But Walter Nolen is still great when it comes to his pass rushing capabilities.
Yeah, any 1 through 4 at 22, I'm doing some gymnastics. There might be some where I'm doing cartwheels versus attempted backflips into a swimming pool, but like I'm excited for any of these guys for good reason, in my opinion. Dude, Walter Nolen, like this kid is such a stud. Like he will just not be denied, and he's only 21, so he's got a ton of football in front of him. 6'4", almost 300 pounds. You know, it's interesting. Again, we talk about like the different archetypes, right? Like there are some kind of like Kenneth Grant, but he can kind of do both ways where he runs through people a lot. He's also athletic. Walter Nolen is just like super athletic and slippery and evasive. Like he's so slippery. Offensive linemen just seemingly are always whiffing. He's so quick, so nimble, crazy strong arms and hands, and really, really good use of angles. Like he shoots gaps like a pistol. I think he's probably one of the quickest in that regard. First team AP All-American, first team All-SEC, tie for the team lead with 14 tackles for loss this past season. Finalists for the Outland Trophy, which is the nation's top offensive lineman / defensive lineman. It started all 13 games. Availability is your best ability. 48 tackles, 6.5 sacks, 3 pass breakups. This kid is excellent in pursuit. Quick twitch, man, explosive. Plays like a cat in the prowl. I think he plays with so much instinct. 25 hurries, 6 sacks this year, 13 sacks over the past 2 seasons. But again, like don't let his speed fool you. Like he's got power too. And unlike some of the guys later on in the top 10 that we had, and 6 through 10, this guy is borderline elite at everything. 11.9% run stop rate, 10.9% pass rush win rate, 75 pass rush grade, 91 defense grade for run defense. And then from a true pass rush grade, 80.8. Like this kid is damn good, dude. And just 21 years old, 6'4", 296. Like there's so much upside here. And you're talking about like a guy where you can just bank on the possibilities of being endless. Like, dude,
oh yeah.
Walter
yeah,
Nolen's
it's all there. It's all there for him.
Walter Nolen's a dude. But there was a guy, Jake, that I think I texted you. And this was before we had talked about any of our top 10s, where I'm just like, holy Harbaugh. If there is one guy that I think is like crosshairs at 22, if he's there, it's this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Derrick Harmon out of Oregon, so far, might be arguably my favorite selection at 22. Hands down. there is so much to love about this kid. And you see the production that he's garnered over the past season plus. I mean, just closing my eyes and imagining Derrick Harmon in a Bulls uniform, like I just get goosebumps. Like this guy, 6'5", 315, 34 and 3/8 arms. Daniel Jeremiah, Jake, compares him to a one Chris Jones coming out of college, which, by the way, just got $160 million over 5 years, right? Last season, he got paid. He overpowers centers and guards. They're like barely speed bumps to him, it feels like. His leverage is insane. His push-pull move, I think, is the best in this class. He plays like a heat-seeking missile, dude. He plays like there's a magnet on the quarterback, running back, and he just gets drawn to him. Like, it's insane. Quarterbacks are always like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. Ow. Like, here's a mic drop stat for Derrick Harmon. 55 pressures in 2024. That's 12 more than any other lineman. Fourth best pressure grade in all of FBS, 86.3. Jake, he had 12 more pressures than any other interior defensive lineman with 55. Like, that's insane. 91.2 pressure grade from true pass sets. Again, he's tied with Aeneas Peebles, which, again, if I'm Aeneas Peebles, I'm absolutely bringing this up every time I'm talking to somebody. The best pressure grade from true pass sets in all of FBS. You want a fun watch? Like, go watch him against Ohio State.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he plays super hot, right? But he also kind of plays composed. Like, him getting home just feels like it's inevitable. He's just a super smart, instinctual player. And you watch him at the combine, like, dude, his hands getting those bags, like, are so violent. And I was looking at Lance Zierlein's description of him, and I loved it, so I wanted to bring it up here. He said he can be part of a swarm unit that batters the pocket. Harmon can play up and down the line in both odd and even fronts. He will bring an instant dose of stinginess and toughness to any defense he joins. Yes, please. Yes, please. One NFC exec, Jake, compared him to a younger and bigger Cam Hayward. Some others compared him to a Christian Barmore, who also got paid this past season. Derrick Harmon, you are a Los Angeles Charger. I welcome you with open arms. You are welcome to Chargers Unleashed anytime. I cannot wait to see that selection at 22 if he's there. It would be shocking to me if Derrick Harmon is there at 22 and they don't take him. I don't care who else is on the board. Like, on their big board, if you just look at it, close your eyes, who's on the big board? I can't think of that many people above him. That's including Colson Loveland.
If we go back to end of January, beginning of February, admittedly so, I had Derrick Harmon as my fourth best interior defensive lineman in this class. As Dan just said, if Derrick Harmon's there at 22 for the Chargers, that's considered value at this point, because he has just simply elevated his stock with reminding everybody how good he is, how athletic he is. Dan mentioned the production when it came to overall pressure rate. I mean, he's just a constant disruptor.
17.6% pass rush win rate. What?
Versatile along the defensive line when it comes to having that solid pairing of power, size, agility. Proved to also be an anchor against the run, capable of taking on double teams and stacking and shedding against offensive linemen. And the biggest thing that Dan was mentioning there towards the end of his talk about Derrick Harmon, it's his awareness. You see him in the backfield, whether it's we're talking about him coming through the line and seeing the ball carrier go from here to there. He can do that. He can get there. His pursuit of the ball carrier, whether it's a quarterback or a running back, it finds a way to get there. So his awareness of his surroundings when he's penetrating and getting past offensive linemen is just second to none. Plays to the whistle with a nonstop motor. You want to give the Chargers an element to their current defensive line group that they don't have? Insert Derrick Harmon. 100%.
Dude, I'm obsessed with Derrick Harmon. Like, he just seems like he forces the offense to play and fast forward. Like, he speeds up the clock of every play. Like, if you're not going faster, like, he's going to get there before you. 4.95 40 time, by the way, Jake. 4.95. Like, this kid is a true defensive weapon. Like, you add him to your defensive line. Can you imagine that for a second?
Yeah.
Thule, Derrick Harmon, and Khalil Mack. And insert whoever the hell you want after that. Doesn't matter. Like, that is insanity. You talk about depth, right? Building a bully. Like, that is it. And bringing Derrick Harmon and adding him to a Jesse Minter defense. Like, dude, Jesse Minter would be having sweet dreams with him on your defensive line. I almost didn't even watch my number one because, like, similar to other rankings, I'm like, there's no effing way. It doesn't even really matter. Like, is it worth us even talking about? Like, I don't want to get excited because I just love him too much. But, like,
well, we got to finish out the list. Obviously, at number one, it's Mason Graham, and if the Chargers were finding themselves in the top 10 this year, we'd probably have a lot more to talk about as it relates to Mason Graham, because just as good of a fit as it would be with Kenneth Grant going to the Chargers, it would be equally as good of a fit if, in another universe, Mason Graham was to end up on the Chargers. Obviously, we know it's not going to happen, but as it relates to the traits of the player himself, size, power, motor combination, that is Mason Graham. He was one of only 2 interior defensive linemen, Dan, in the country to finish with top 10 grades as both a pass rusher and a run defender. You talk about consistency across the board. And he's an absolute game wrecker. He actually came down in weight for the combine than what he normally played at. I'd be interested to see when he gets to the next level what he's going to be playing at. But that ability to shed blockers with his quickness and power, the active hands that he plays with, able to take on double teams once again, translates strength to power by getting low and just blasting back offensive linemen to create pressure. Now, just in general, as it relates to his draft, so he's kind of had a flux from where people thought he was going to end up. You know, a lot of, you go back just a couple months, people had him like, oh yeah, surefire, top 5. Now he's like, okay, top 10. But in general, wherever the hell he's going to land up, you're going to end up building, that's going to be a centerpiece to your defensive line for a long, long time.
Man.
Were you surprised? Did you feel like we were going to have some more argumentative moments on this?
Yes.
Like, I had a good idea of what our top 4 was going to be. I did not think that it was going to be the same. But outside of the top 4, I thought there was going to be some conversations to be had. And truth be told, the honorable mentions and number 10 was literally the only time that we really had an argument.
Joshua Farmer was the furthest we got into that.
You know what? Screw what I said at the top part of this pod sucked. All right. I thought that there was going to be so much more collective banter between you and I, but here we are.
Here we are. We're aligned.
These were our top 10 interior defensive linemen as it relates to the Chargers. Currently, again, what they have, the way that their roster has been constructed, and what we feel that could be the element that's missing to it. That is the traits that these top 10 lists were constructed. Please, by all means, let us know when we're wrong, because some people are probably shredding their top 10 list right now when listening to this. And by all means, please give us your top 10s. Give us the players that you love and your assessment of them, because this is when, as I was telling Dan, this is the type of time of the year when football becomes fun, when you can have these type of conversations as to why one player is higher than the other, why you like one guy over another. It's just fun football banter. And this is one of the aspects that I love so much about this time of year.
Yeah. Mason Graham, dude, like he's like Thanos. Like, he's got all the Infinity Stones. Like, he just does everything. And it's just not fair. He's number 1 for a reason. Like, it's a no-brainer. He's going to be the first interior defensive lineman off the board. Like, it's not even a question. He kind of reminds me of, I'm blanking, but the tight end who's going number 1 right this year,
Tyler Warren.
Like, he reminds me of him, where it's like, it's so crystal clear that he's number 1. Nothing away from the other guys, but it's just like, yeah. You know the term, like, pancakes, right? For offensive linemen. Pigs in a blanket. What he does to offensive line, I'm calling pigs in a blanket. Whether it's push-ups, Push pulls, chops, you name it. Like, he's literally putting linemen on their stomachs on the grass all the time with ease. Like, give him a baba, give him a blanket, like night. Like, pigs in a blanket. That's what he does.
I was not expecting that term, but now that you're talking about it, I'm like, okay, yeah, it kind of makes sense. That was
I made it up. And 100%, like, that's him. He puts pigs in a blanket to sleep. It's like, bend the knee. Okay. That's him. It's just not fair. Yeah, you mentioned all the things. He has all of it. He's going to go top 10 for sure. Chargers fans would dream. Not going to happen. They're not going to trade up that much for him because they're at 22. But still, man, would that be fun. But I think the important part here, Jake, is 1 to 16, 17. Hell, 1 to 20. I'm pumped. And I'd be pretty confident that the Chargers are going to get one of them. Especially considering how important the trenches are to this regime.
I would say the same.
So
if we're putting our own opinion as far as when they would address the interior, the defensive line, I mean, realistically, this could happen anywhere between rounds 1 through 4, depending on what their big board looks like and depending on how the draft overall falls to them. But as I said at the start of the show, you could create a top 10 out of the honorable mentions list. That's how deep this class is, and it's absolutely ridiculous. So one way or another, whether you're going to find a fresh start and a future anchor of your interior of your defensive line from a run stuffer to a pass rusher, you can find it. Or if you're looking for a rotational piece that's going to add a little bit more pass rush juice to your current interior defensive line group, you can find it. 31 flavors as it relates to this interior defensive line group. You got to love it.
So 9 of our 10 are the same. Joshua Farmer and Jordan Phillips are the only 2 that each of us have flipped. But my number 10, as a recap, Jordan Phillips. Number 9, CJ West. Number 8, Tyleik Williams. Number 7, Omarr Norman-Lott. Number 6, TJ Sanders. 5, the Toledo Missile, Darius Alexander. Number 4, the Iceberg, Kenneth Grant. Number 3, Walter Nolen. Number 2, and my best fit, who I would love for the Chargers to be at 22, Derrick Harmon. And number 1, Mason Graham. I want to see Darius. I will say, Darius Alexander, give me the moonwalk. Give me the thriller that he does to offensive linemen. Like, sign me up for that, dude. I'd love Darius Alexander and Derrick Harmon are kind of like the 2 of like that archetype of like, yes.
Trade back, get you some extra draft capital, and then select Darius Alexander. Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
sure.
My juice is flowing. Yes, please.
If I could speak in hypercriticals for a second.
Yeah. This was a fun one. And again, it's hard, in my opinion, because I'm, again, like, who am I? Defensive line sometimes is a hard watch. And there's a lot of specifics and nuance and situational stuff. This was a fun one, dude. Like, I understand why they have so much hype this year. And for the Chargers, like, this group has a ton that can help solve for some of the issues that they have had this past couple of years. Jake, anything else from this class, from this episode, moving forward before we dip on out of here?
This is just a hell of a class in general, and it's going to be so interesting to see how it shakes out, where other teams outside of the Chargers have them prioritized. When it gets to the teams, it's really going to set the stage as far as the interior defensive class early. And then you're definitely going to see a run of them on day 2. That is for certain.
Mm-hmm.
So where are the Chargers going to prioritize this if it's not interior defensive line at 22? You're going to have plenty of other opportunities, yeah, but I would say you probably don't get out of day 2 without hearing one of these guys' names called for the Chargers.
If I was a betting man, I think round 1 goes to either tight end or defensive line right now. That's where I'm putting my money. The 2 names, again, I could totally see the trade back for Darius Alexander, and I could totally see a trade up for Derrick Harmon. If they get to like 17, 18, 19, he's still there, I would not be shocked at all if they just went up and got their guy. So don't be surprised. This is fun. I'm surprised and I'm proud of us. And 5 years in, Jake, like for us,
I don't think we've ever had a top 10 that's been that close.
No, never. But again, what makes this fun for us is this is for the Chargers. And so it looks like both of us seemingly have a pretty aligned viewpoint on what this Chargers team needs and what they're looking for and like their type. So again, to Jake's point, give us your top 10. Let us know what you think. Tell us where we're wrong. We're always wrong. Not surprised. And we will see how this thing goes. But Jake, enjoy the weekend, my friend. Folks in the chat, folks watching in the comments, you enjoy as well. If you have not done so already, please hit that like and subscribe. We might do a live show. Might not. I don't know. We'll see how our juices are feeling in the morning. But until then, you can find Jake at Jake T. Hefner, myself at Dan W. Sports. And we'll talk to you next time on Chargers Unleashed. Have a great weekend, everybody.